Other skills that an ethical hacker should have would include explicit permissions, and they're in writing, folks. We call this a contract. As well as you need to make sure that you protect the customer. We should have an NDA that we're going to sign, letting them know that we're going to protect them as much as we can, that we're not going to expose. You know, if we find financial information, we're like, oh, they're going to go out of business. We're not exposing that. That's not our job. Now, most of the time, ethical hackers are going to see possible weaknesses in systems or in infrastructures that we're evaluating, and we should never expose those or talk about those. You need to make sure that this contract that you create in writing, again, you're going to not only spell out the permissions, the things that you're allowed to do, you're also going to specify what are the targets, what are the scopes that I'm allowed to do. Am I allowed to hit this from the outside? What is off limits? If I gain access to a specific area, what am I supposed to do? All that needs to be drawn out. Trust me, this is to protect you legally. Also, you should be using the same tactics and strategies that an attacker would use. That's the whole purpose of this course, so that you can learn those tactics and strategies. You don't just make things up or take shortcuts to make it look like you know what you're doing. No means no. Now, what we mean by this is that if a customer lays out some specific guidelines of what's allowed and what's not allowed, you do not try to bypass those. You do not make the exception. If there is a change in the scope of what you're doing, it needs to be in writing. As an ethical hacker, you should never target a system or a network that you don't own or that you're not allowed into. If during the test, the owner, your boss, whoever, comes and says no or stop, you stop immediately. Failure to do so is going to make your life seem like one of those thriller movies where only two people know about what's going on and nothing's been documented, and the one person who's in charge gets killed and the guy gets leaving holding the bag and everybody thinks he's guilty. Again, documentation. And when it comes to documentation, the other thing you need to be aware of is that you will report all your results. Now, when I say you will report all of your results, I mean all of your results. I don't care how hard it is, because it's uncomfortable. I had a particular situation where I had to report who hired me to do the pen test to the owners of the company, and it resulted in him being let go right away. And again, you may have to report your findings to legal authorities, and not just the police. If it's folks, if you see that somebody's customer information and it includes records such as social security numbers, credit card information, that's a federal crime, which means you may have to involve the FBI. You'll also need to make sure that in your contract or in the project that you're managing, that if you encounter information that is deemed confidential, you know who you can discuss your findings with and who you will not discuss it with. Again, unless it's a legal issue, in which case the company may not want you to report it, but not reporting it is an accessory. So, and not that I'm a lawyer, I'm just trying to protect you. So we have a whole course coming up that will talk about how to do what we refer to as a penetration test or a pen test